reading from chapter 1, titled What is Wrong with Conflict? Conflicts, therefore, ought to be viewed positively and as inherent in all human interactions: business, marital, family, communal, political, diplomatic, labor, education, etc. The list is by no means exhaustive. Where two people meet, there exists a potential for conflict. Where two people meet, there exists a potential for conflict. And by meeting, I don't mean physical meeting. We don't need to have met physically. We can have conflict even though we never meet or never met physically. Conflicts accompany alterations in behavior. Change in behavior itself is caused by the inevitable changes in a people's or a person's circumstances or situation, be mental, physical, social, political, business, or work. Sadly, a negative conflict management system sees in a conflict only the right and wrong in quotes, and ends with winners and losers again in quotes. Therefore, parties using a negative conflict management system do everything possible to win. This explains the brinkmanship and sometimes violence that is now part and parcel of most conflicts the world over. Now, why do I put right and wrong, winners and losers in inverted commas? Because as President Abraham Lincoln once said, the, quote, nominal winner is often a real loser. Let's read on and then we'll have a discussion as we go on. The failure of our present day fault-finding conflict resolution system is universally acknowledged and led to the search for a new system that deals with conflict in a healthy and positive way. The result of this search is the recourse to mediation. The promotion and development of mediation is appropriate because, quote, society's greatest opportunities will lie in tapping human inclinations towards collaboration, in marshalling cooperation and designing mechanisms which allow it to flourish. And this will become the most creative social experiment of our time. That's former president of, unquote, that's former president of Harvard University, Derek Bock. Let me continue reading and then we can discuss after when I finish reading this page. We should help people to save their important relationships, be they diplomatic, political, social, or contractual, in spite of misunderstandings. We must always look for original options for quick conflict resolution to deal with existing conflict holistically, and at the same time, preserve important relationships. This is the place of integrative or collaborative negotiation where mediation belongs. I think the argument here is one, that you cannot dodge conflict. And if you cannot dodge, we need to begin to look at it again and say, what is this thing or stuff called conflict? What is it doing in our lives? What is its essence? What is its as we said earlier on, value. And its value or essence or meaning is explained when I read above that every time two persons or two peoples meet, interact, whether physically or from a distance, now even virtually, there exists a potential for conflict. So inbuilt into our interactions as a human is the incidence of conflict. So it's part of us. And as I explained earlier, it happens because of inevitable changes. Everybody changes. So when we change, and we are not able to make the other side change with us or adapt to our change or changes, there's a conflict. And so we begin to understand the meaning of conflict. It's telling us that there's a change and we need to deal with the change in order to be able to move on with our life, which is our relationships. I mean, I will interchange life and relationship. Yes. So now, I mentioned that sadly, a negative conflict management system seeks in a conflict only the right and the wrong and ends with winners and losers. And therefore, everybody does anything and everything to be the winner. That's what I call brinkmanship. And sometimes we resort to violence. And that has become common. And the argument, as President Abraham Lincoln pointed out, is that you can't really have a winner in a conflict situation. A winner in a conflict situation is pyrrhic. It's short-lived. And the reason is that the person that you defeat is a person in relationship with you. It's a part of your life. And so where's the victory? You defeat them. Can you really defeat them? Defeating them is defeating yourself. Is that what you want? So, hence, I say it's a pyrrhic victory. And so the argument of Derek Bock of Harvard University becomes relevant. I'll quote him again, quote, "Society's greatest opportunities will lie in tapping human inclinations towards collaboration. Society's greatest opportunities will lie in tapping human inclination towards collaboration." So that's our default mode, to collaborate. We are not made to beat others, to defeat them. We are made and fashioned as humans to collaborate. I go on with the quotation from Derek Bock. "In marshalling cooperation and designing mechanisms which allow it to flourish." And he said that is our most creative venture today. That's what we should see as our goal today. How can we create and design mechanisms that promote cooperation and collaboration, as opposed to promoting mechanisms that beat others down and make us feel falsely that we are the victors and they are the losers. As I said earlier on, a tree does not make a forest. That's another Yoruba adage. A tree does not make a forest. You win, okay? So you win, so you are alone. And is that possible? Is it possible to be alone? No matter how much community people has lost, is it really possible to live alone? So we must always win together. And that's what mediation helps us to do. That's what mastery of mediation skills helps us to do. It helps us to win together because we can't really win alone. It creates a win-win situation. So our duties as people who are conscious, who are learning to improve our skills in conflict resolution is, to quote from my book, we should help people to save their important relationships, be they diplomatic, political, social, or contractual, in spite of their misunderstandings. We must always look for original options for quick conflict resolution to deal with existing conflict holistically and at the same time preserve important relationships. And like I said, conflict and relationships are actually two sides of the same coin. We could use them interchangeably. You could use conflict and relationship interchangeably. And that's the power of the two concepts and the power of conflict resolution. The power of integrative or collaborative negotiation, of which mediation is foremost, at least at the moment. I think we'll pause for today and continue in lecture 4. Once again, I'll be grateful if you make your contributions, your critiques, and contributions so that we could keep learning together more effectively. Thank you, and see you in the next lecture.